Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sew Aldo. For today's episode, I am going to show you how to make a half circle dress with ruffled sleeve hems. So, if you want to see how, keep on watching. So, I already pre-cut my fabric. So, I have front and back bodices right here. I also transferred the darts. So, if you want to see how I did this part, I am going to leave the link up here in the info box or in the description box below. I am going to sew the darts starting from the waistline up to the apex. And you are going to repeat the same process onto the rest of the darts. Don't forget to tie a knot so the threads will not unravel. To make a neck facing, you are simply going to trace the neckline and the shoulder, and that is 1.5 inches wide. And you are going to do the same thing on the back neck bodice. And then I just folded it in half and put it onto the fabric and cut it out. So this is the front neck facing. And this one is the back neck facing. And then I notched the center of the facing. So for the front and for the back. Now I'm going to sew them together. Just be sure that the right sides are facing each other. And you are going to sew it right here. I'm also going to sew the front and back bodices. So right sides of the fabrics are facing each other, and I'm going to sew them on the shoulder seams. Now it's time to attach the neck facing onto the neckline. I'm going to open it up like this, and I'm going to place the neck facing on the right side of the fabric, and I'm also going to match the seams. Just be sure that you are matching the front bodice and the front neck facing, and same with the back bodice, it should be the back neck facing. And then I'm going to pin it to secure all the way around, and I'm going to sew it all the way around, doing about 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I will be using a stretch stitch for this because this fabric is a stretchy material. After that, I am going to trim off the excess fabric, just like this. Or you can just cut like little notches. I also serged the raw edges of the neck facing, but that is optional. And then I am going to understitch the neck facing. The reason for it is it will not show on the top of the neckline. So I'm going to sew it all the way around. Just be sure that the raw edges is facing the neck facing. Right after that, I am going to sew the side seams of the bodice. Now it's time to cut out the bottom of the dress. So this pattern that I'm using was actually a full circle skirt that I used in the previous project that I did. It was a fully lined cap sleeve dress. So if you haven't seen that one, I'm going to have the link up in the info box right here. So anyway, I am just going to alter this pattern into a half circle skirt. I just simply fold the fabric once and I place it on the fold, as you can see here at the edge of the table. That's where the fold was. And I'm just going to cut it out. As you can see here, I also added about 1 inch seam allowance because I want the dress to be a little longer. This is where I am going to alter this pattern. I am going to trim off about 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to match the waistline of the skirt onto the waistline of the bodice. So I trim it off 3 times, and each time I trim off 1/2 inch. So total I trim off about 1 and 1/2 inches. After it finally matches the waistline of the bodice, it's time to sew the back seam of the skirt. So I marked the center back and center front of the bodice, and I also did the same thing onto the skirt. I matched the center front of the skirt and notched the center back of the skirt. And then I am going to simply pin it all the way around. And then I am going to sew it all the way around using a stretch stitch. If you notice, this dress doesn't have any zipper at all, so you want it to stretch. And it should look something like this, and I'm also going to serge the raw edges just to make it much more prettier. Now it's time to make the sleeves. As you can see, I already pre-cut everything. I also have a tutorial on how to make your own sleeves. So if you're interested, I'm going to have it linked in the description box below or up here in the info card. So this sleeve pattern that I'm using is just a basic short sleeve pattern, but I'm going to make it extra special by adding a long strip of fabric on the hemline to add some ruffles. So the ruffles is roughly twice the length of the sleeve hem. I am just going to base stitch it and gather it by hand, and I'm going to match the length of the ruffle onto the length of the sleeve hem. And then I'm going to sew it together using a straight stitch. Now it's time to sew the seams right here. As you can see, I sewed a basting stitch right on top of the sleeve right here, so I can slightly gather it. Now I am going to put the sleeve inside the armhole. Right sides of the fabric are facing each other, and I like to start at the underarm seam and then pin it all the way around. And then sew it all the way around. All I have to do is finish the hemlines and the neck facing. I am going to sew it all the way around as well. You can also hand stitch that. And the dress is done. I absolutely love this dress. It's going to be my perfect summer dress. I just can't wait for the spring so I can wear this around. Yay! So that's it, you guys, and I hope you like this simple tutorial. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be part of my sewing family. So yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye!